All right. Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. I'm your host, Adam Patrick, and I'm the editor and the lead writer for thevikingage.com. And as always, I'm joined by Chris Schad, who writes for us here at the Viking Age, as well as zone coverage and bring me the news. Before we get started on today's show, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like this video. And if you already have, we greatly appreciate you. Also, check the
Very
description.
gracious too.
Yes, check the
Like,
description of this video to enter for your chance to win a free Justin Jefferson jersey. He's a pretty popular guy right now, so pick those up while you can. But yes, go to the description of this video and enter that contest for a free Justin Jefferson jersey to enter a contest to win it. And also follow Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook. We like to interact with you guys out there. So before we start today, Chris, I got a little trivia for today. I like to mix things up, as you know. So we know that before Brad Childress, before he became the head coach of the Vikings in 2006, he was the Eagles' offensive coordinator. There is one other former Vikings head coach who spent time on the Eagles coaching staff earlier in his career before becoming Minnesota's head coach. Do you know who it is?
okay, I'm thinking, is it? Oh, it's not Jerry Burns,
No,
right?
no.
It's not. He was Viking through and through. Okay,
He spent 2 seasons with the Packers before he went to the Vikings, actually.
2 seasons with the Packers. Okay, it's not Leslie Frazier.
It is.
It is. I didn't think Leslie Frazier would be on the Packers though, because he was a former Bear. But I mean,
No,
take the job where you can get it, I guess, right?
I said Eagles.
You said he was on the. Maybe you said he was on the Packers.
I just said Jerry Burns was on the Packers for 2 seasons.
Oh,
I was looking for guys on the
okay.
Eagles.
That really threw me off then.
Sorry.
So yeah,
Yes,
sure, Leslie
yes,
Frazier. All right.
Leslie Frazier. His first
So technically, I won.
his first coaching gig in the NFL was actually with the Eagles as their defensive backs coach from 1999 to 2002. I want to say I feel like Andy Reid was the head coach. Around that time.
Probably.
That's when
Yeah.
McNabb and stuff were around. But yeah, Leslie Frazier, Mr. Look at the Tape. He's been coaching in the league for a while, and his Bills defense looking pretty good these days. So,
Do you think he ever gets another head coaching gig? I think he does.
If something, if something happens like the Texans scenario where they wanted to hire somebody, but they
Josh McCown. Oh my! The NFL just
yeah.
got sued.
No,
Hey, Leslie, what's up?
I don't know because he's over 60. I feel like, so, and I don't know how many teams are that interested anymore in hiring guys who are over 60 because we had Mike Zimmer, we had Vic Fangio, there was Bruce Arians,
63.
Yeah, that's
So he's probably he's older than I thought he was, but
yeah. So I feel like if he was going to get another job, it probably would have been this year, but I don't know. Unless the Bills are like, but they had a really good defense last year too, so I don't know. Maybe people are just scared of his tenure with the Vikings and worried about that happening again because he's a players like him, and he's a nice guy, but nice doesn't really cut it when you're a head coach. Sometimes you gotta not be so nice.
Ask Nathaniel Hackett how that is going right now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people.
All right, we gotta talk. Could you believe that they did that? Like that was a Mike Zimmer special. Just like, yeah, we got 40. Let's kick a 64-yard.
I don't even know if Mike Zimmer
goal.
did that. I think he would have punted probably.
That's like another level of like Zimmer Zen.
It was really confusing because they ran up to the line like they were going to run a play. Yeah. And then they called timeout. So they wasted 30 seconds to call a timeout. So then if you don't get the field goal, then there's no point in calling timeout anyways.
I think I, along with the rest of America, was watching the Manning cast, or at least those who have like expanded cable.
Like,
Yeah. Well, Peyton's like
and
jamming like
Shannon
that.
was like,
Shannon
"What?"
Sharp's just like, what is happening? Like Eli, I feel like Eli was just like sitting back laughing because he's got like 2 Bronco alums, and he's just
Mhm.
like, yeah, I guess they're running the clock out. They're like, why would you do that?
I mean, luckily, Nathaniel Hackett didn't come out on Tuesday and be like, "Well, I went with the decision that I made." He came out, he's like, "Yeah, we should have gone for it, for sure." Uh, because
Yeah.
one, like, yeah, even the win probability was better if you went for it on 4th and 5 than it was to attempt a 64-yard field goal. And then he made it worse because he started calling timeouts when they were kneeling the ball, and it's like, what are you hoping for a bad snap or something? Like, I don't know. But it was funny because Russell Wilson lost in Seattle, and they booed the crap out of him, which was kind of surprising because he did a lot for that franchise, but apparently they didn't like how he left.
Like
Um
I think okay, he is a little weird. I will give them
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like I think like it's the same like if Aaron Rodgers got traded to Denver and they played in Green Bay, like Packer fans would have booed the shit out of him. Like they would have been pissed.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like the Eagles, there's a statue of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson
Yep.
at Lincoln Financial Field or whatever it's called now.
Yep. Yep.
Like they had to move it to the back of the stadium because like none of them are there anymore. But like if Case Keenum would have led the Vikings to the Super Bowl, like there would have been a Minneapolis Miracle statue in front of US Bank Stadium at
Statue,
some
he woulda
point.
had, like, a giant sculpture in, like, the middle of the city of just Case Keenum there forever, like, next to
Just
all
him doing the skull
next
chants.
to all the Prince stuff, and there's Case Keenum. Yeah.
There's going to be a mural with Case Keenum and Prince.
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
have
they
I have When Doves Cry is in my head.
Yeah. But yeah, it was weird. I still think the Broncos are gonna be good because they put up they they did really well on offense. They just fumbled on the goal line
Yeah.
twice. It was like, "Oh, who Adrian Peterson's in the game." But yeah, I'm not worried about the Broncos. It was a weird I told you before we finished recording on Monday, I'm like, "Watch those Seahawks, they're weird. They always play good. They always play hard under Pete
And I was
Carroll." So,
smart enough not to bet on the game after
yeah,
that
no, 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 no,
conversation.
no,
I was like,
nope,
all right, let's let it go.
nope, nope. Yeah, that's like tonight, like, I was like, "Should I, like, put any money on any, like, props tonight?" And it's the Chargers and Chiefs, and I'm just like, it's just too hard to figure out who's gonna, like, have more or less, one at this point of the year, and then, like, with those 2 teams, you just never know.
Right.
Um, so, alright, it's Eagles and Vikings week. It's week 2, as the next game on the Viking schedule is against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. The game will kick off at 7:30 p.m. Central, and it'll be broadcast on ABC with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman getting the call. I thought they did well on Monday night. That's the broadcast. I didn't even turn to the Manning cast because I was like, this is fine. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are fine. Um,
A lot of people crap on Joe Buck, but I think he's okay.
he's
Like when he's
fine.
not calling a Packer game, like he's fine.
He's
And like,
he's good at baseball too.
yes, yes. I am very interested to see how what's his name, Joe Davis, does calling the World Series. I mean, this is a sidebar conversation again, but like I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are still mad he said what he said about Randy Moss. So
He apologized for that, I think, on
I don't
Cowherd or
think he
something a
said
couple
he
years
would
ago.
have done it again. But I
But
mean,
he said why he did it, like, but
yeah,
you know what? I think he redeemed himself with the miracle. That was a
yes,
really
that
good
was an
call.
excellent call. Yes.
So, I think he redeems himself with that. Like the Vikings, the Eagles are 1-0 after they defeated the mighty Lions last week. They held them off 38-35. According to FanDuel, the Eagles are currently favored by 1.5 points over the Vikings on Monday, a line that I think was 3 after last Sunday, so it's dropped a little bit in favor of the Vikings. A lot of people are a little more happier with how they performed. All right, before we get into some topics, Chris, what is just your general confidence level about the Vikings heading in to this Monday night matchup with the Eagles?
It's a little bit higher than at the beginning of the season. I mean, when you come out and whoop the Packers like they did, I think they did a great job. The one concern that I have right now is this sustainable? Because we've seen this team in the past have issues with consistency. Look at this time last year. The Vikings host the Seattle Seahawks, speaking of Russell Wilson, and they
Mhm.
just kick the snot out of them.
Mhm.
They score, I think it was the last 23, 30 points of the game. And the next week they play Cleveland at home and they score 7 points. Like, and that was the whole season. It was up
Mhm.
and down,
Mhm.
up and down. That's why Mike Zimmer got fired, because when this team went down, nobody could pull him out of that tailspin.
Yeah.
And you have the same roster left over from there. So I mean, a lot of people will probably be like, well, why are you talking about O'Connell and Zimmer again? Well, it's because the same roster's there. So you have
It was
that
just there
parallel.
too.
Yes, yes. So I mean,
Like 5 years ago.
mhm. I am very interested to see how the Vikings perform in this game, and if they've read their press clippings and kind
Mhm.
of, go through the motions, or if they come out and go, okay, we're a better team here. Let's stop Philadelphia. Let's go to 2-0. And if they win this game,
Yeah.
I mean, they could be 6-0 by the bye. There is a non-zero chance
Yeah.
that could happen, because you got the Lions at home, you got the Saints over in London. That's a coin flip. You got the Bears at home. You're going to win that game probably, and then you play Miami in Miami, which will be a little tough. But I mean, again,
Winnable.
non-zero.
It's winnable, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if they win on Monday, their Super Bowl odds are gonna go up even more. So if you wanna bet on the Vikings winning the Super Bowl, you should do that now, because those odds are gonna go way higher if they win on Tuesday. They've already gone a lot higher this year. But let's talk about some problems that the Vikings must fix before facing the Eagles on Monday. So they got a nice win. The Vikings got a nice win last week against the Packers, 23-7. They put up almost 400 yards of total offense, held the Packers to 7 points. It was a good performance from the Vikings. No one's arguing that. However, there are still some things that the Vikings must, attempt to fix before they take on the Eagles on Monday if they want to improve to 2-0. And I wrote about this over on the Viking Age, and I listed 4 things for the Vikings to fix before Monday. So they are giving up interior pressure, stopping the run, converting more on third down, and scoring more in the second half. Now, Chris, can you rank these problems from 1 to 4, with 1 being the most important, in order of how much a priority each one should be heading into week 2?
I thought about putting these in like a card shuffler and seeing what came out first, because they're
Mhm,
all important.
mhm,
I think they have equal importance. I guess if I were to, gun ahead, what is the biggest problem? I think it's interior pressure, and that's something that we all expected coming into the season. Ed Ingram wasn't that great on Sunday. Like,
no.
for everything, all the good vibes and whatever, Ed Ingram's debut, little off, but that's fine.
Decent
He's a rookie. You're
decent
gonna have it.
PFF grade, though, but terrible
Yeah,
against the pass, but decent
right.
overall.
And that's what you want in that situation, because Kirk struggles against interior pressure.
Yep,
Now you're going up against Fletcher Cox,
yep.
who, I mean, him against a rookie scares me, like, no
Mhm,
matter what you talk about.
mhm,
And
mhm.
you also have Jordan Davis, which I think everybody saw when the Eagles took Davis, and then take a look at the schedule. They're like,
Mhm,
oh my God, Garrett Bradbury is going to die. Um,
mhm.
the impact that Jordan Davis had last week, even though he didn't play the entire game, I think he only played like 20 some snaps.
Yeah, it's like 5th on
DeAndre
the he's
Swift,
like 5th on the depth chart. It's weird.
yeah, DeAndre Swift had a monster game. He had
Yeah,
7 yards per carry when he was out of the game.
yep,
He was just under 3 when he was in. And the reason they're doing that is because Jordan Davis's pass rush moves aren't on par. So you can't
yeah,
have him on every down and
yeah,
everything else, because he's just not developed in that game yet. So I think that's what Jonathan Gannon was doing. A lot of Eagles fans are upset that Jordan Davis wasn't in the game more.
mhm,
But when you look at last week, Kirk was under pressure 42% of the time. That was, I think, 6th in the league, according to the Pro Football Focus. Last year, excuse me, it was 33.7%. So that was way worse than that offensive line we were talking about. Sorry, allergy season. My nose is like going rogue here.
You're packing, so there's a
Um,
lot of dust too everywhere.
yeah. I don't think the Vikings can stop interior pressure. I don't think
No,
they have the
no,
personnel. I,
no.
I think like their best chance is like if Kevin O'Connell goes illusion of complexity and like goes, hey, over here, Jordan, over here, I got a cheeseburger over here, Jordan, hey, like that's probably their best way against it. So I think interior pressure is the number one topic there.
So interior pressure number one. Then what would you say second?
Oh yeah. I got a whole bunch of notes. I won't elaborate on all of them, but I think number two, I put them in order. I put them in the same
Yeah.
order you did
Yeah.
because I think stopping the run's a big concern. The Eagles ran for 200 yards last week,
Yep.
but Jalen Hurts ran 17 times for 91 yards, and that fueled that. You know, this Viking defense in the past has struggled against quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket and make plays. So
Yeah,
the
Michael
difference
Vick.
with Jalen Hurts is that his first instinct when he doesn't see something is to tuck and run. A quarterback like Aaron Rodgers will get out of the pocket and he'll look downfield. That's why they were able to get sacks last week. I feel like the Packers could have had more on the ground if they didn't fall behind last week.
Yep.
So stopping the run's big for me too. Third down, Andy Herman, who is a Packer reporter, and I apologize, I don't know his official affiliation. I got it right here.
Is he the athletic guy?
Let's double check. Pack a Day Podcast, Packer
okay.
Report 66,
Okay,
nothing
okay.
about the athletic. Vikings drives today included 3 plays, -5 yards, punt, 5 plays, 20 yards, punt, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt, 4 plays, -5 yards, field goal. Must have had a turnover after that. 5 plays, 20 yards, punt, 7 plays, 34 yards, punt. That's 27 plays, 65 yards, and 5 punts. Now, the other 4 drives, 78 yards, touchdown, 89 yards, field goal, 74 yards, touchdown. This is like Adrian Peterson level execution. Like you either get like 1 yard or you get 99 on a run.
Yep.
They like last year, everybody, like the whole thing is, you know, the Kirk stands will be like, hey, Kirk sucks because of the defense, right? Here's the problem. The Vikings led the NFL in 3 and outs last year. Defense isn't on the field in those situations. Those situations I just listed off was some of the same stuff that they did last year, but they masked that because they cashed in on big, long touchdown drives against the Packers that took time off the clock. They need to sustain drives. And the best way to shut down the Eagles offense is to control time of possession. Now the difference here is that Kevin O'Connell isn't going to run the ball like Mike Zimmer did. He's going to pass, he's going to attack and everything else, which leads me to number 4, which is scoring more in the second half. And I thought Thielen's quotes were a little bit weird after the game where he said, hey, we're attacking in every situation. I don't think they attacked in the third quarter. Like watching the game, I was just kind of like, why are they letting their foot off the gas? And I know that the Packers were going to shift to Jefferson. He wasn't going to get 184 more yards in the second half because like people should be fired if that would have happened. But I mean, some of the other guys never got going. Like Adam Thielen had like 34 yards receiving. KJ Osborne had less receiving yards than Johnny Munt. Where was Irv Smith all the game? I don't know if it was a pitch count or what, but I think he dropped a pass, and that's the only time I saw
CJ
him.
Ham. Where was he?
Yeah, special teams. He has replaced Dan Chisna as the ultimate weapon on special teams.
Hey, he can tackle, so he can do that.
It's an upgrade. It's Chisna 2.0. Like all of these things are things that I wouldn't say it's pessimistic. It's just being a realist. Like this team has some flaws and it's week 1. They can fix them. And I'm sure O'Connell has been saying the same things in his meetings where he's just like, hey, great win, whatever. You guys are great. This is how we can improve.
Yep. Well, listen, if you watched any of the mic'd up or the sounds of the game, or I don't even know what they call it anymore, but Zadarius Smith was kind of saying the same thing on the sideline at the end of the game on Sunday. Is like, that's cool, we got to win, but we got a lot of work to do left. Like, this is a long season, so don't get like too high after this win. It was a good win, but like we still got plenty of work to do.
And this is a team that didn't play in the preseason, not to cut you off, but I mean, this is their first time on the field in a competitive setting as a group. Like you could argue the 49ers practice was that setting, but that was like 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, I don't know. I love what they did this preseason, especially after seeing the way they came out. I think more teams are going to do what the Vikings did this preseason as far as holding out their starters. So, I mean, this is going to be the norm, but yeah, I'm a little bit skittish when everybody's like, yeah, they're NFC contenders now. I'm like, I don't know.
They
I
had
don't
a good
know.
win. They had a good
Playoff.
win.
They looked like a playoff team
Yeah.
on Sunday. I'll put it that way.
They beat they beat the Packers last year too at home. So, and
Yeah.
then they didn't make the playoffs. So,
Then Kirk
um,
lined up under the guard, and we all know how that went. Again, inconsistency. Like I was saying, that's what this team is.
hey, Kirk's, he's the second best quarterback on PFF or whatever. Um, so what was I even going to say? Yeah, like there's still plenty of stuff for them to do. I think I would even say that stopping the run might be more important because I think this game is going to be a lot closer than the Packers game was because one, it's going to be on the road. Two, I think the Eagles' offense, at least right now, is a lot better than the Packers' offense. Um, so the Eagles, you didn't mention it, but they were the number one rushing offense last year. Um, and so they've been good at running the football. Jalen Hurts has been good as a rushing quarterback, and it wasn't any different last week. Like you said, he had 90 rushing yards. And the Vikings allowed 6.2 yards per carry last week in a win, but that's still a weakness that the Eagles can definitely exploit because running the football is a big part of their offense. And then giving up interior pressure, that's something that's probably going to be a problem for the entire season unless they like maybe put Austin Slotman. I'm mixing up his words here. Austin Slotman in the middle there for Bradbury. Maybe he can mitigate some of this, but then what are you giving up? Because Bradbury played pretty well against the run last week, um, but he's terrible at pass blocking. So you give and take, I guess, with that. And then converting on third down, they were just 4 for 13 last week. I think they had 2 first downs on third down going into the fourth quarter. That's not good. And then the second half, they only had 6 points. You can't going against the Eagles, a team that's probably going to contend in the NFC, on the road, tough environment. You cannot have 6 points and a half. You need to
No.
probably score at least 2 touchdowns per half, or you know, that's probably what you need to do to win this game, especially with the amount of points that the Eagles just put up against the Lions. Is there anything else that you think the Vikings should fix or improve before week 2, or is that pretty much cover it all?
I think the Vikings could do a better job in coverage. I think there are a
Yeah.
lot of instances where I was watching it live and be like, oh, the Vikings coverage did a great job because they got a sack.
Hmm.
Those Packers receivers have some work to do. Like, I'm not
Oh
going
yeah.
to call them bad. I'm just going to say they have a lot of work to do because if Christian Watson catches a touchdown on the
Yep.
first drive,
Yep.
we are talking not only about a different performance by the secondary, but a different surprise when it comes to this entire game.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think you're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I mean, that secondary still scares me a little bit. And I don't know if they'll get Lewis Seen back. I didn't
He's
check the
expected to be.
practice report. Yeah. So, I
He
mean,
practiced today.
I'm
Full
really
practice.
interested to see what this defense looks like with
Andrew
him.
Booth
So,
sat out though, so that's another
yeah.
piece of the set. But you kind of mentioned this too about them about their approach to the preseason. Andrew Booth's the only player that missed practice for the Vikings today, Thursday.
Yeah.
I looked at the Cardinals injury report. They had about 9 or 10 guys who were like limited or didn't practice or like dealing with some sort of injury, and I'm like, that's you look at the approaches, that's what you get. Like that would have been the Vikings last year where
I
they
want
have
to know,
so
but I
many.
want to know what Kyler Murray's kill count was in Call of Duty last night.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah. How much film did he watch before the Chiefs game? Because it didn't really look like he watched a whole lot.
No.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything the secondary, maybe figure out a way to get someone else involved besides Justin Jefferson because
Hmm.
couldn't really figure out another guy to get going, I guess, with Adam Thielen or KJ Osborne or even like Alexander Madison or Irv Smith. I guess Johnny Munt got involved there, but I don't think he's the guy you really want to get. You don't want him to finish second in receptions every week. No disrespect to Johnny Munt, but Thielen should probably be the guy doing that or KJ Osborne.
And I do wonder if it was because Irv Smith was on a pitch count.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I don't think anybody mentioned if it was or not, but I think that they tried to hold him back because he was coming back and You know, you don't want him to aggravate that thumb injury because then Johnny Muntz, your tight end, won the entire season.
Well, yeah,
So,
listen, this Vikings coaching staff is much better at approaching injuries than the previous one. So
mhm.
whatever they plan to do for Irv Smith moving forward, I have no problem with because I feel a lot more confident in their approach than I did with the previous regime. Because if this was the previous regime, he probably would have played the whole game last week, and then he'd be hurt in week 4 or whatever.
Mm.
So I did not have a problem with what they're doing. All right, let's look at some of the best matchups between the Vikings and Eagles next week. So we're just looking at the Vikings offense versus the Eagles defense. Which matchup intrigues you the most?
I think it's the Vikings offensive line against the Eagles pass rush. The Eagles didn't do a good job getting the quarterback last week. Jared Goff was under pressure 28.2% of his dropbacks. That was 26th in the NFL among all qualifying quarterbacks that played 20% of the league lead in dropbacks. Detroit has a better offensive line than the Vikings. I should point that out first. But I mean,
Yeah,
can this offensive line stop Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat? I mean, the Eagles have waves of pass rushers that can get to the quarterback. And I mean, we saw it in the NFC Championship game about 5 years ago. I don't think this defense is as good as they were 5 years ago, but I mean, they definitely have the tools to mess stuff up in the trenches. And I don't like Eagles fans are kind of mad about Jonathan Gannon not putting Jordan Davis on the field. I don't think he's a complete idiot. I mean, the Eagles run a 4-3 defense. I think we're going to see a lot of Fletcher Cox. I think we're going to see a lot of Jordan Davis. And I think they're going to cause problems because, if Ed Ingram, and I assume they won't because the Eagles have those edge defenders. I think if it's a one-on-one with Ed Ingram and Garrett Bradbury, the Vikings are going to have a lot more pressure, a lot more trouble protecting Kirk Cousins, and it's all about how he performs under pressure.
yeah. They weren't. They didn't. Did Kirk roll out at all last week? I don't really remember
I
him.
feel like he did. First play was a play action rollout,
Okay,
little completion to Johnny Munt. I
but
loved it.
yeah, but he didn't. I don't think it was a
I
good.
don't think he did it a lot. The
Yeah,
one, what was it? Was that the 64 yarder to Justin Jefferson
that's
where
when he
he's in the
stepped up.
pocket?
He stepped
Yep,
up.
he stepped up and everybody's like, whoa, like, you know.
Or if he has Packers fans, that was a duck that he threw. But yeah, a 40-yard duck.
Sure worked.
Um, yeah, I think to kind of maybe slow that pass rush on the inside down a little bit, they should maybe do some more rollouts and get those guys, moving because it's just straight up, just Kirk in the pocket. That's probably not a good idea unless he's getting the ball out quick because he cannot just sit there and just have Ed Ingram and Garrett Bradbury just get eaten alive by the Eagles defensive line because that's what will happen. And I think that Kevin O'Connell is smart enough to figure that out. I'm sure he's got some different things in mind. They might not even pass as much, which is leading to my matchup to watch, which is the Vikings rushing attack against the Eagles defense. Because last week the Eagles gave up 181 rushing yards to the Lions at 6.5 yards per carry. We keep talking about how the Vikings gave up 6.2 yards per carry to the Packers. The Eagles gave up 6.5 yards per carry to the Lions, so that's even worse. Lions running back DeAndre Swift had 144 yards on the ground, 15 carries, and he and Jamal Williams combined to rush for 3 touchdowns against the Eagles last week. So Eagles defense actually worse against the run than the Vikings. So and I think most would agree that Dalvin Cook is a better running back than DeAndre Swift. So I could see a game plan where the Vikings maybe try and get the ball in Cook's hands a lot more than they did last week, which, considering Dalvin Cook got 23 touches last week, so he still had the ball a good amount of time. But I could see a game plan where Kevin O'Connell mixes things up and makes Dalvin Cook kind of like the priority for the Vikings this week.
This is so easy for Jonathan Gannon. Just put Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox in the game,
Hmm.
and like you get interior pressure on the pass rush and you
Hmm.
get a badass run stuffer. Like it's not hard. So, I mean, I'm very interested to see what they do. Like, is Jordan Davis just not ready to the point where he can be an every down guy? Because I mean, that was one of the knocks coming
Conditioning.
out of college. Yeah, it was that he wasn't a good pass rusher and like his conditioning was a little bit off. So,
He's a big guy.
He
So
is. He freak athlete
he
though.
is.
Like
Yeah, but you gotta
I don't know. He might like sacrifice Garrett Bradbury on Monday night.
like
That's a
what
weird use to word.
was that?
Weird word to use,
Yeah,
but
he'll make him look worse than that center he did in those joint practices or whatever that they had this summer
are
with the
you familiar
Broncos.
with the F5?
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So excuse me, listeners. I have a cough drop in my mouth. Sorry. Um. But yeah, like it seems like I don't know, because then if you put Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox in there, then I feel like the Vikings are gonna be like, fine, we're just gonna just like run Justin Jefferson over the middle, throw to him more, or we'll run some screens with Dalvin Cook and see if you can chase him down. So like that's the kind of thing I look forward to with this like new coaching staff is like how they adjust to what the other team does instead of just being stubborn like the previous one. It's like this is our offense, this we're gonna run. If they can stop it, fine. If they can't, good for us. But we're not going to make any adjustments because this is just what we run. I don't think Kevin O'Connell's going to be like that, and I'm
No.
kind of looking forward to see what they do. All right, on the defensive side of the ball for the Vikings defense versus the Eagles offense, which matchup is sticking out to you?
I'm gonna stay in the trenches, man. I feel like meat and potatoes tonight. Jalen Hurts was hit in NFL the before I die is getting to me a little bit here, but Jalen
Jim.
Hurts was hit an NFL high 20 times last Sunday,
Mhm,
which means that this Minnesota defensive line could have a good game.
mhm, mhm,
The Vikings didn't get big pressure numbers last week, but they kicked the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. And I said,
yep,
a lot of it was because there wasn't anything downfield.
mhm.
Zadarius Smith and Daniel Hunter will lead the charge, but I mean, are we going to see anything from the interior? I don't feel like there was a lot of push. I feel like Harrison Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, and
Harrison Phillips.
yeah, I think those guys. Did I say Harrison Smith?
Mhm.
God, I do that all the time. Like I get them all mixed up. Like like you were talking about Jordan Davis last week. I'm like, oh, the country singer, and like,
Mm.
no, Chris, he just Snickers.
I was talking about
Um,
Jordan Hicks.
Jordan Hicks, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean, in the trenches, man, the
Mm.
defensive line against the offensive line. I swear I know what I'm talking about. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch on Monday night.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how this new formation matches up against a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Because previously, if it was 4-3, I think we'd still have plenty of worries like they're going against in the past, like Cam Newton or RG3 or whatever, Michael Vick way back in the day. But now it's 3-4, and is this defense better suited to go against a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts? We'll get to find that out on Monday. I've got Minnesota's secondary against AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, the Eagles wide receivers. You kind of alluded to this earlier, but the Vikings got extremely lucky last week when Christian Watson dropped that easy touchdown. That could have changed the whole game. We'd just be sitting here talking about Patrick Peterson's past his prime or whatever, like get him off the field. But he dropped that and things went the Vikings' way. But if AJ Brown and Devonta Smith get that wide open, on Monday, they're not gonna drop those passes. They might, drop a pass here and there, but not like that. Smith actually had 0 catches last week, which is kinda surprising.
My
Um,
guillotine team noticed.
okay.
We
Alright, Chris.
survived, but we noticed.
Okay. But AJ Brown finished with 10 catches for 155 last week against the Lions. So he's not messing around. He already looks like a favorite target of Jalen Hurts. So that'll be interesting to see who the Vikings put on him. If they put Peterson on him, if they put Dantzler on him, who's gonna stop AJ Brown if anyone can stop him. And it looks like the Vikings will have Lewis Seen back. He practiced today on Thursday. He's been talking about how he's gonna make his debut on Monday, so it looks like he'll be back. Don't know what he's gonna be doing. He might not even play um, on defense, but and then rookie corner Andrew Booth is dealing with a quad injury, and he did not practice today on Thursday. So that'll be interesting to keep that an eye on that. Even though I think Caleb Evans is higher than him on the depth chart right now, so I'm not sure how much of an impact that'll even have if Booth can't play. But yeah, this Viking secondary for as little as Aaron Rodgers was able to throw for last week, I think that was more of a product of their pass rush than it was their secondary. And the Eagles' offensive line is much better than what the Packers put out on the field. last week. I think I saw something where Lane Johnson hasn't given up a sack in since 2019. So it's pretty good. Um, so yeah, secondary's still got plenty of question marks, and they got a tough test this week against AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. So that's what I'll be watching for. Anything else on this?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm just excited. These two teams feel like they're really evenly
I think
matched
it's gonna be a
at
good
this point
game.
in the
Yeah.
season. Yeah, I don't think I would be shocked if somebody blew out another team. One thing to note: Kirk Cousins is very good against
Yep.
the Eagles in his career.
Yep.
6-2 career. His only two losses came against the Eagles in 2017. Otherwise, he's about 300 yards per game, about 3 touchdowns, maybe a pick or two in there. But
Yep.
he's been very good. He also ended Zach Brown's career, which is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, they
After he
played him
called him out,
in
I
20.
can't remember. Did he call him garbage or what did he do? I can't even remember. But
Yeah, I don't even remember because I don't care about that dude because he was stupid and he got cut like next week or whatever.
he's
But
out in the middle.
2019, that was did Diggs have didn't he have like two long touchdowns in that
I
game? I feel
remember
like.
this, yes, because I did him or I used him in a DraftKings single game
Hmm.
DFS.
Hmm.
So I won a lot of money because, and that I
Oh,
think was 2 weeks after he skipped practice. So
because
I
he had
mean,
a
everybody
cold.
was down on him.
He had
So
a cold.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, had the cold.
yeah. No, it happens.
Now it's understandable if you do that, but back then, not so much.
All right, let's make some picks. I couldn't find any props because the game's on Monday and props can take a little longer for it to come out.
Sure.
But I did look up some fantasy projections, I guess. Well, no, I didn't. I'm just gonna ask you who's gonna have more passing yards uh next week. So who will have more? Let's start with passing yards. We'll do Kirk Cousins or Jalen Hurts on Monday night.
I'm gonna go Kirk. It's kind of hard because I don't really know how much Jalen Hurts is going to throw,
Yeah,
or if he's just gonna tuck his head down and run every time he doesn't see his first read open. So yeah, I'll go Kirk. I think he keeps the momentum going. If Justin Jefferson doesn't get open against Darius Slay, I think Adam Thielen will, and I
yeah,
think this will be a big ancillary piece game.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins had like a meeting this week to be like, hey, you're still my friend. We're still best friends. But
I'm
I
sorry I
said
didn't throw you the ball, Adam.
I
I'm
had to throw it.
sorry.
Had to throw it to Justin. He was wide open all game. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. He threw for 243 last week. And he averaged 210 a game in 2021. So yeah, I'll go with Kirk Cousins for sure. More rushing yards, Dalvin Cook or Jalen Hurts.
Ooh. I thought you were gonna go Miles Sanders, but
No.
Dalvin Cook.
Okay. I hope
I think
so.
it'll be yeah, I mean, just the way they gashed them when Jordan Davis wasn't on the field. I think Jonathan Gannon puts him on the field a little bit more, but I think Cook has a big day.
Yeah, I think so too. We talked about how the Eagles' rushing defense is worse than the Vikings' rush defense, which is not something to be happy about going against a game or going in a game against Dalvin Cook. So yeah, I'll go with Dalvin Cook too. Hurts did rush for 90 yards last week, and he averaged over 50 yards per game on the ground last season. So he could, but yeah, I'll go with Cook too. All right, this could be interesting. More receiving yards, Justin Jefferson or AJ Brown?
AJ Brown. But
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
don't think it means Justin Jefferson has a bad game.
Right,
Like
could be
I
like
just
it
think
could be
that
like
AJ
140 and
Brown's
120.
yeah, I think that AJ Brown's like the centerpiece of the passing game
Mhm.
for the Eagles. So I think AJ Brown has more yards than Justin Jefferson.
I get like when I watch him or when I watched him last week, I got vibes of like T.O. on the
Yeah, sure.
Eagles.
That's who I was thinking of. Yeah.
He's got like the same build and he randomly gets like 150 yards. He doesn't look like he can get that, but he does. So yeah, I'll go with AJ Brown too because I just think the Eagles are probably going to be more locked in on trying to shut Justin Jefferson down, which the Packers claimed to be last week, but he was wide open. But if Jefferson wants to have more receiving yards than AJ Brown, sure. I don't think we're going to be sad about that. All right, more touchdown catches. Adam Thielen or Dallas Goddard, the Eagles tight end.
I think Thielen gets one, and I don't know about Goddard, so I'll go Thielen.
Yeah, Goddard has had 2 touchdowns in his last 12 games.
Go
So,
Jackrabbits, though.
so yeah, I don't think he's that catching a touchdown against the Vikings. Their linebackers and safeties are pretty darn good in coverage. Eric Kendricks and I said Andrew Bynum last week, or not last week on Monday, which is pretty embarrassing. Cam Bynum.
That's a pretty
So,
easy, like, miss, though. I mean,
kind of, but Andrew is a like 7 foot tall basketball player, so it's
and he
kind of
also wore purple and yellow.
that's true. All right, okay, all right.
And the
Yeah,
Lakers used to be in Minneapolis
they
before
did
we were
because
born.
yeah, all the lakes that are in LA, it makes total sense that they're called the Lakers.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'll go with Adam Thielen too because he's he can't go 2 weeks without a touchdown. It just doesn't
All
feel
he
right.
does is catch touchdowns.
Um, here's one. This is a tough one. More sacks. Fletcher Cox or Zadarius Smith?
Hmm. Can I pick a draw?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I'll say they both get one.
Yeah,
So I think Cox is getting one, and Zadarius. I don't know. Can he play as motivated as he did last week, or is
yeah.
that just kind of a thing? That's something I'm worried about. So yeah,
He's
I'll
pretty
go push.
he's pretty amped up last week, but he's been we've been hearing that he's been playing really well all summer. So,
Hmm.
I think I'm not worried about him, but like I said earlier about the Eagles offensive line, much better than the Packers offensive line at least last week. So I'm gonna go with Fletcher Cox because anyone who gets to go against Garrett Bradbury for most of the day, I'm gonna pick them over whoever their competition is. All right, so that's all we got for who will have more. Maybe we'll do that again next week. Maybe we'll get some theme music or something. Probably not. Um, let's just go with some predictions. So the Vikings will win against the Eagles on Monday night if they do what?
If they play like they did Sunday against the Packers, which is a cop out, but I think that just the way they did it, like
Yeah,
coming out strong, moving the ball down the field, getting the
good
ball to Justin
good
Jefferson,
defense.
finding wide open. Yeah, good. I mean, their defense looked good. I think if they use that same formula, they can beat the Eagles because I don't think this is an impenetrable team. But I just wonder if the Vikings that showed up last week will show up this week.
Yeah, I think they gotta see if they can create some turnovers, force the Eagles to pass the ball because that's not their strength. Their strength is running the ball, and I think if it's a close game, then they're kind of be in trouble. So I think if the Vikings can kind of do, yeah, like what they did last week, and kind of get out to a big lead, and then force the Eagles to just rely on their passing attack, I think that will be a good way to win. I also think, you know, I mentioned earlier, centering the game around Dalvin Cook, like make him this week, you know, this last week was Justin Jefferson. Let's make Dalvin Cook the focal point this week and kind of, go into week 3 with the more illusion of complexity. Like who is this offense? Is it Justin Jefferson or is it Dalvin Cook? Or and then maybe week 3 it's Adam Thielen. So like keep switching it up. I think that will help them win. The Vikings will lose on Monday if they do what? If they
If they
don't do
can't
what, I guess.
contain Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I mean, that's just an easy way to get like 7, 8 yards in a play. And,
Mhm.
if you're letting him get open, if you're letting him scramble around, buy time, find people down the field. I felt like there were times last week where Aaron Rodgers had time to throw one of those bombs. He just couldn't find an open man because the Packers receivers aren't very good right now. So
What do you think the Vikings will do to kinda maybe try and stop that? Would you have, like, Danielle Hunter spy on him or Eric Kendricks or Harrison Smith? What do you think they're gonna do?
that could be, I mean, maybe they use, well, Jordan Hicks wasn't good in coverage. Maybe it's an Eric Kendricks thing.
Yeah,
you know, but Philly's backs can catch the ball too. So
yeah.
I don't know. It might just be like, just get to the quarterback at all cost. But
Alright, final score prediction. Like I mentioned earlier, the Eagles are favored by 1.5, and the over/under is 51.5 points right now, according to FanDuel.
I said the Vikings would lose their first 2 games, and I'm not gonna back down, even though they won their first one. I just don't see the Vikings. I know this team. I know this roster. I know them. Like,
Do you?
this is a
Do you know
game they
them?
don't win. They didn't win under Mike Zimmer. This is another opportunity for Kevin O'Connell to rewrite the script. So
Yep.
I think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to get blown out like I thought they would when I first saw the schedule.
Hmm.
But I think it'll be Eagles 31, Vikings 28, last second field goal.
Well, we both know after Sunday's game, I was the one who was like, "Let's chill out," you know. Everyone's like, "Super Bowl, here we come," and I'm like, "Let's settle down. We've been here before. 1-0. We've been burned many times in the past. Let's not do it again." But apparently, I'm the more optimistic one because I have the Vikings winning on Monday. I have them
Awesome.
winning 24-17 on the road, 2-0. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. Here we come. And I think it is gonna be a lot of Dalvin Cook. I think we're gonna see a lot of him in there, and I think this defense, the pass rush is gonna be a factor again because it was really good last week, and I think as long as Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are on the field and they're healthy, I think it's gonna be a problem for everybody all year. So I got the Vikings winning 24-17, and you know what? I don't really care what the final score is if the Vikings or Eagles win on Monday, as long as it's not 38-7, because I've seen that a couple times this week already, and it's getting me a little mad. So just as long as it's not that score, it could be any other score. Oh man. All right. So we are done here today. Next week, since the game's on Monday, we will not have a podcast on Monday because we will be watching the game. But we'll probably have something on Tuesday and then probably Thursday next week. So keep an eye out for that. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like this video if you haven't already. Make sure to follow the Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook. And the audio version of this podcast is always available as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. So go check that out. But until next time, Chris and I will talk to you later.